And we have been learning more about the disturbing story we brought you last night involving senior living facilities here in New Orleans. We learned last night the city evacuated 10 senior living facilities on Friday and Saturday. 5 of those seniors were found dead. Joining us now on the phone is Councilmember Jay Banks. Thank you for joining us this morning, Jay. And you personally went to one of those facilities last night.
I did. I was at Flint Goodrich yesterday afternoon. When we got the call about what was happening, I went immediately and was told that there had been one body found, and literally while I was there, they found the second body. So this is just totally, this is unbelievable that we are dealing with this. And we have, since then, obviously there is a hole in the bucket that we've got to fix. These are not nursing homes. They are senior citizen housing, and there is no regulation, but we've got to get them in. I've been in touch with Senator Karen Carter-Peterson, Representatives Candace Newell, Matt Willard, and Mandy Landry. All of them have committed. I know I've got a call in Royce, but I have no doubt that Representative Duplessis is also going to help, and Representative Freeman are going to help to try to push through some state stipulations. And we are going to, I've already talked with the city attorney. We are working on city regulations, and the city council's legal advisor, I've spoken to him, so we're going to be all working on the same path to try to put some regulations in place that this never happens again. It appears that management just left and left those people there on their own with no lights, no communication, no air, just no way to do anything. And that is just, it's immoral. I can't tell you if it's criminal, but I certainly know that it's immoral to have left those people like that. We can never let that happen again.
So in effect, these are like apartments, but geared towards senior citizens. And right now in the city, there are no regulations that oversee them.
They are apartments. It's not a nursing home. Everyone lives independent, but these complexes that are catering to adults, many of them are getting government subsidies, but they're not run by the government. They're run by private companies. And those private companies apparently just walked away. That's the way it looks. Obviously, the investigation will yield more information, so I don't want to cast a final judgment on anybody or anything until we have all of the facts. But so far, what I was given yesterday does not look good. And many of the residents told me that they haven't seen anyone in management at Flint since before the storm hit.
Yeah.
Much less after the storm hit, and it's just ridiculous.
And it was not just Flint; it was a number of other homes. What was it like? Go ahead.
It wasn't just Flint. It looks to be a systematic problem.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
These facilities don't have any regulations or stipulations, and it looks like there was no plan at any of them. So, no, I cannot speak for the ones I didn't go to. I spoke with residents from Flint at the facility before we evacuated them to the convention center, and then I went to the convention center afterwards and spoke with them before we got on the buses to get out. And the stories were all consistent that they were just left, and there was no one in charge, no one answered questions, no one to render help. And the management of the facilities just apparently left. Now, I did speak with someone who said that they were in management on Saturday. They came after the word started circulating that there was a death, and the lady told me that she did leave, but she had to get her mother out. So now, I understand her getting her mother. But
if I can stop one second, and whose responsibility is it? Is it management? Is it family? I mean, since these are apartments, it seems like family would have some responsibility too.
I would think that there are going to be enough fingers to point across the board. I would guess that family does have definitely some obligation, but in the instances where there is no family, in the instances where there's not a viable way to get people out, then what do they do? And you're right. The idea that others should have stepped up is not just family, it's neighbors and everybody else. But in that particular instance, in those facilities, the neighbors were in the same boat. So I'm asking even for the people not in facilities, if you can hear me and there are seniors or people who are vulnerable in or near where you live, please go check on them. We should not have this. This is a wake-up call for all of us that when these things hit, we're all in this together. And anybody that can lend any assistance to anybody ought to be willing to do that. But what happened in those facilities is it's ridiculous. And again, the question is who is responsible. Now, legally, I guess that there's one answer. Morally, there's a whole other answer. And morally, I don't know how you just walk away and leave those people there. That's just unconscionable to me. So I don't know. Again, I don't know what the legality of this is, and I'm not even talking about that. I'm not even there yet.
You're just talking
morally. I'm talking
morally.
about simple, moral, human responsibility to each other. Those people should not have been left in that situation. And I'm very grateful to the administration for responding as quickly as they did once we found out. But it's the kind of thing that you don't know what you don't know. Now, we did what we could once we found out, but I really wish that we had been notified much earlier, and maybe we could have lessened the burden on those folks and tried to have gotten them out sooner. But
Jay,
we did move quickly once we found out. Go ahead.
Of the 10 facilities that the city, transported people from, how many people are we talking about altogether?
I don't have that number, Eric. I'd have to get that.
But
I don't want to say anything
wrong.
It's a good bit of people, because there was better than right at 80, a little bit better than 80 that were transported from Flint. So if you multiply that times 10 facilities, again, I don't have that exact number, but it was a significant number of people. And then some of the people did leave because relatives came to get them once they found out what was happening. Yeah. So you had some that did get out, for lack of a better term, on their own, and you had some that these people are not all incapacitated. So some of the residents there had cars and they were able to leave. But overall, those ones that were stuck were the ones that we ended up having to move, and I don't know exactly what that number is.
And when you went to the facility last night, what were the conditions like? I mean, did you walk through the building?
I walked through the building, and it was not anything that anybody I know or care about, I would want them in there. It was literally, I ended up wet, and I'm not exaggerating. It was that hot in there. They could charge for a sauna. It was that hot in there. Obviously, there had been some structural damage. Water got in because there were multiple ceilings that had fallen in from the water. I looked in one apartment where the ceiling tiles had actually caved in on the bed, so there's no way nobody could sleep there with the water dripping. It wasn't raining yesterday, but it was clear that it had, and all that stuff was still damp and wet. So it was not a good look. It was certainly not a good look at all. And there was nothing in there that I would have walked away and said, I'm satisfied that this was a good place for not just seniors, but for anybody to have been during that storm. Now, obviously, the facility is very old. It's brick. It didn't blow down. I get that. But it clearly had some deficiencies that allowed the water to get in. And then when the power went out, there was no way those people on those upper floors, and you had many of them in wheelchairs on the upper floors that had no way to get downstairs.
Yeah.
And I commend the other residents for bringing them food upstairs, but this was just a bad look all the way around.
And then you couple this with the assisted living facilities that were here and in Jefferson Parish, and those people were bussed up or taken up to a warehouse in Tangible Hoe. I mean, it's just horrific.
It is horrific, and this, again, I mean, this shows us that we got a real problem. Now, unfortunately, none of us are omnipotent to have foreseen this, and maybe, some people are going to claim that we should have, and I get that, but the fact is we didn't know it. But now that we do know it, we're going to be intentional in addressing it. This should never happen again. The assisted living, the nursing homes, the senior living facilities all need to have some basic requirements that say that if you're forced in a situation like this, there has to be some plan. There has to be somebody to call, something to do, something to happen, and not just walk away and leave hundreds of people who are vulnerable to fend for themselves. I mean, that's just unconscionable.
Well, and let me ask you this before we go any further. Assisted living facilities are regulated by the state, but apparently sometimes a lot of stuff falls through the cracks.
And that is absolutely true. And those assisted living facilities do have some standards already in place. They do have a set of requirements that exist. Now, clearly, either they didn't go far enough or they were ignored. Pick one. I'm not sure which the answer is. But the truth of the matter is we've got to put enough enforcement and enough teeth in there to make it unacceptable for those folks to be able to just walk away and ignore those people that they're supposed to be caring for.
All right, now if we can
And
switch
again, man, the legality of this, the legalese of this, the lawyers can have a field day with it. I'm talking strictly from a human, moral perspective. We should never let this happen again, and let the lawyers fight as to how they need to make the nuances work. But just, that could be your mother, it could have been Sheba's mother, it could have been somebody else's grandmother, it could have been anybody in those facilities, and nobody would want their family stuck like that.
And I hear your voice. I mean, I know how much this affected you. If we can switch gears on other topics, you know, so many people still without hours long in many cases. Why were not big gasoline trucks brought in? Why did it take the mayor screaming, you know, to the federal government to, hey, bring some of that stuff in for us?
I wish I could answer multiple questions as to why the federal government doesn't move expeditiously as they should. This is not our first dance. We knew that we had a Category 4 hurricane coming. I appreciate the president issuing the disaster declaration as early as he did, but obviously all of the pieces didn't connect. Now, in terms of the gas, it is getting better. The lines are going down. A big part of the gas problem is that we had so few stations. Now that we've gotten more power, we're getting more access to gas. So many of those stations that were closed were not closed because they didn't have gas. They were closed because they didn't have electricity. Yeah. So now that more are coming on, we've also we've got generators that are en route. Hopefully by the time they get here, we'll have the power back on. But we initiated a process to get generators to open up additional gas stations. But again, with the power moving as quickly as it is, then we might not even need those generators. But the gas situation is getting better, but even though it's nowhere near close. Now, there's supposed to be trucks en route. There's supposed to be more gas coming, so we should be able to put this one to rest sooner than later. But look, man, when you look at what we've gone through, we're actually doing pretty good. And I know that we aren't doing this fast enough. I mean, we live in a world that's got microwave popcorn and text messaging. So we all want stuff to happen instantly. But the truth is that look at what happened in Lake Charles not long ago. Look at our surrounding municipalities. We are not as bad off as we could be. And again, I'm not trying to get any accolades. What I'm saying is that we have been intentional on trying to get the systems to work as best as they can, and we have had some real progress. We're moving along a lot faster than many of our neighbors. And if you look at Lake Charles, man, look, there's still areas dark there.
No, I know.
From last year.
It's horrible.
So as bad as this is, it is better than what we could be. And I'm looking at, I want to look at the glass half full as opposed to half empty. We've got real problems. We've got some real good stuff that happened, though. I mean, Sewage and Water Board needs to be commended every day. We had a Category 4 hurricane and no flooding with no external power. Man, they pieced that thing together with bubble gum and spit and was able to hold it together. And they should be applauded. Now, are there problems at Sewage and Water Board? Absolutely. Do they still have things that need to be addressed? 100% yes. But in this instance, we ought to be commending those hardworking people that stayed there and kept that system working, because this could have been a whole lot worse.
It's the same way with energy. The line people are doing a Herculean job to get it, but obviously the infrastructure of energy, and you deal with Energy New Orleans, you know, had some real problems. I mean, things that maybe shouldn't have come down, came down, or I don't know what the answer is.
And let me tell you, I by no means want to disparage those linemen. They are doing a yeoman's job. They are doing look, man, it's hot. Electricity is dangerous. It can kill, and they are doing a phenomenal job. Now, on the other side of that, though, yeah, there are some issues that need to be addressed. And I am on the city council, and we regulate Energy New Orleans, but this was a bigger than New Orleans problem. Every electrical entity in this region was affected. So clearly the problem is bigger than just New Orleans. This whole thing, Clico, Energy Louisiana, all of the other providers, everybody got hit by this. So this is bigger than just a New Orleans issue. So there were clearly structural infrastructure issues, but they exceeded Energy New Orleans.
But because of that, when I talked to Cedric Richmond before his trip down here with the president, he's the advisor to the president, I asked him about staging and stuff, and he said they had staged 250 generators. Well, that sounds like a drop in the bucket. We needed 25,000 generators if we wanted to get stuff, gas stations, food stores, all kinds of stuff going on through the entire metro area.
And I won't disagree. 25,000, how about 250,000 to get the entire metro done? I think we can always second guess this thing, and we could always have done more. I'm grateful for the 250, but yeah, you're right, man. 25,000 would have helped us get there quicker. And I get it. So I'm not going to say anything bad about anything we got. Now, if we had gotten more, I would have been more happy. But I'm appreciative of all that we got because it has gotten us this far. Now, we are far from out. I've been riding the neighborhood since this thing happened, and the truth is that most people are appreciative and understanding of the progress that we're making, even though, again, I just talked to two ladies around the corner from the wire. We're opening that at noon for water, ice, and food, and I just was riding through Central City telling them to come on and get what we got. But the truth is they were here for Katrina, and they understand that this is bad, but it's a lot better than what it could be. And truly, we can always go back and figure out what we could do better, which we are going to do. That is a part of this after-action activity. We will figure out how we get better. And I'm going to tell you, man, I've said this before. If you got to be caught in a disaster like this, the best place to be is in New Orleans. We got the team in place. We've got experienced people. We're battle tested, and we rehearse every year as to how to deal with this stuff because we get stuck with this every year. And I guarantee you our recovery is a lot better and a lot faster along than it would have been if we had been somewhere else. And I'm going to take it right back again to Lake Charles. Look, they're still dealing with stuff from a long time ago, and we got lights up, some lights up the day after the storm, 2 days after the storm. That's unreal.
All right, Jay, thank you very much. We appreciate the update on so many issues.
Hey, man, whenever you need me, call me. We're riding around out here trying to make, doing what we can do to get our folks back. And we again, folks, I'm not asking you for patience. I'm asking you for understanding. The truth of the matter is that we are moving. This is not going to happen fast enough for all of us. I get that, but it's going to happen as fast as it can. That you can rest assured.
All right, J.H. Banks, thank you very much.